Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I am showing you Indian inspired, super cozy and super comforting apple desserts. We're using fresh whole ingredients which are nutrient dense, no artificial and processed foods like condensed milk or milk powder. So everything is fresh and whole, and so it fits very easily into your fitness routine and health and fitness goals as well. Let's first begin. I'm showing you first how to make this delicious apple rose makhana kheer. And the day I made this, it was raining so heavily, and just the warmth of this kheer and the beautiful flavors, it was just enough to put me into that really cozy comfort zone. And so I'm going to show you how I made this. So the first process is to roast or toast rather the makhana seeds. So I'm taking about 4 tablespoons of ghee and some makhana. All the quantities are down in the description box below. The idea here is to keep the heat on medium and to toast these makhanas. Now, how should they be toasted? When you see this first kind of seed that I'm showing you, it just doesn't come apart, it doesn't break. But keep toasting this for about 4 to 5 minutes on a medium heat. Firstly, it will start to change in color ever so slightly. It won't go brown, but the main distinguishing factor is this. You can literally just break it or crumble it into pieces. Let's just pick another one just to be sure, So there you go. It just breaks apart very easily. So that's when you know that it's done. So we're going to collect this into a separate container and keep it aside for later use. Now let's start making the kheer. And for any kheer, the base is some kind of milk. So I have used full fat milk. You could also make this in coconut milk. I don't think there would be a problem as such. I have used whole milk though, and if you see any black spots in the milk, don't be alarmed. I haven't added anything extra, or there's nothing wrong with the milk. It's just the makhana that we toasted. There are some particles of that which are left behind. As you know, I haven't changed the saucepan. I've just added the milk in the very same saucepan. So now again the heat is on high. The reason for the high heat is because we have to bring the milk to a boil, and we don't just have to boil it for like a couple of minutes. We need to do this for a good 10 minutes because that's how much you kind of want to reduce it down, but not quite as much. But 10 minutes is the perfect duration before we move on to the next step. And that is adding some grated apples. So the grated apple is the part that adds the apple element to the kheer, and when you eat it, it almost tastes like vermicelli or like sevaya. So I add the apple grated. Of course, I grated it and it instantly oxidized because that's bound to happen. So don't be alarmed with the brown color to the apples. Now again, the heat is on high. You have to constantly boil this. It's not going to overflow. Just make sure that you're stirring it every couple of minutes so that a film or skin doesn't form. Now we're going to boil this again for another 5 minutes. So that would be a total of 15 minutes of boiling so far. And after about 15 minutes have passed, so 5 additional minutes after adding the grated apple, you can almost see how beautifully reduced that has gone. Now it's time to add those toasted makhanas, and we're just going to dump that on, and you'll see that it's quite a lot for the pan, but don't worry about it. As you keep mixing it, the makhana is going to absorb that milk. It almost looks like cereal at this point, like breakfast cereal. I couldn't help but notice that. Now I'm going to boil this for another 10 minutes, and that's when the consistency that we are looking for will be ideal. The makhanas will really soften, which is perfect. Now after 10 minutes, I'm going to add the sugar, and then I'm going to give it a good mix. And after I have added the sugar, I am also going to add some cardamom powder. So what I do is I freshly crush the cardamom pods, and I also add the skin of the cardamom into the kheer, so it flavors and perfumes the kheer even more. And now I'm just going to stir this for another couple minutes. Now on low heat, I'll keep cooking this, and while that's happening, I'll also add some nuts, some flaked almonds and flaked pistachios, and just give it a good stir, and the kheer is practically ready. So now I'm going to turn off the heat, very important. Turn the heat off and then add the rose water. Now I have used rose water, but if you're using rose extract, then you may have to reduce the amount because that's a lot stronger and concentrated. Now the kheer is ready. I've taken it in a bowl and I'm going to top it with some more flaked almonds and pistachios and some dried rose petals because it just helps add a pop of color and also imparts a very subtle rose flavor as well. And the apple makhana rose kheer is ready. It is so comforting. It's like a hug in a mug, and the weather is perfect at this point. It's raining very heavily and the weather is nice and cold, and a nice hot bowl of this kheer is just so perfect. Let's move on to the next recipe, which is this apple barfi, and we are not going to be using any kind of shortcut methods for this. We are going traditional with this, and this takes a while. I am not going to sugarcoat this. It's going to take well over an hour, about 65 to 70 minutes to make this barfi. But believe me, it is going to be so worth it. So let's get started. Here I have some full fat milk. Again, all the quantities are down in the description box below. Add it into the saucepan and don't spill it like I have. Anyways, moving on, once we have added the milk, the next thing, and in fact for the next at least 45 minutes, all you have to do is just keep boiling this milk. Now, I would recommend that keeping the heat on medium, high or high, because if you keep it any lower than this, then you are probably going to be boiling this for a very, very long time and not just for an hour. So keep it on high heat and keep boiling this. After 15 minutes of boiling the milk, we're going to add some grated apples. Again, it's the very same procedure as we did for the kheer. The only difference is that for the kheer, we cooked it for a total of about 25 minutes or so, but here it's more than double, which completely thickens up the milk, which completely evaporates the milk and just makes it nice and dense and creamy. You'll see the end result, but let's just go step by step. Now, after adding the apples, the grated apples, we are going to boil this for another 25 minutes. So we are looking at a total of 40 minutes of boiling this milk from start till we add the sugar. So now it's been about 40 minutes and you can see that the consistency has changed, the level of that milk has reduced. There has also been a very, very subtle change in the color of the milk as well. Now we're going to add the sugar. So this is now 40 minutes into the boiling process, and when you add the sugar, you're going to cook it for another 10 minutes or so. Now you see that the structure of the bubbles that are appearing on the surface of this milky mix has also changed. They have become larger. Now it's been 50 minutes. Once you reach this point where the bubbles are quite far apart from each other and it's completely reduced, almost like condensed milk, you're going to firstly reduce the heat to low, and then you're also going to add some fresh cardamom powder. You can also see that when I'm stirring, you can see the base of that saucepan, which is very important. When you start seeing the base of the saucepan, turn the heat down to low, otherwise it's going to burn. So now all we have to do is keep cooking this on a low flame for about 10 to 15 minutes. The consistency changes. I mean, look how dramatic that changes. It happens gradually, but it does. Now just a few more minutes. So you just keep on cooking this, and that's the reason why I use a non-stick pan. It's so much easier to do it in this. It doesn't stick to the bottom and the heat is low. It's ready. It's basically done. When it starts to look like this, you know it's ready. It basically starts piling up on each other without falling apart. So you know that you can actually set this into a solid shape. Now I have a 4x4 inch baking tin which I have greased generously with some clarified butter or ghee. Now I'm going to pour all of this, and you could either just spread it across all of that 4-inch tin, but I like my barfi pieces to be nice and chunky, so I'm going to kind of make it thick enough, and then I'm going to just sprinkle it with some flaked pistachios and some flaked almonds, and I'm also going to actually gently press the nuts into the surface of the barfi just so it sticks, because it's pretty warm. Now it's going to be refrigerated for a couple of hours until it comes down to room temperature, cools down a little bit, and as it cools, the shape is going to get more firm and it's going to set a lot better as it cools down. So now that it's out of the fridge, I'm going to slice it into pieces. Now I get 8 generous and chunky pieces of apple barfi from this, but if you want to make thinner slices, you could probably get about 12 or 16 of these pieces, but I'm very greedy when it comes to desserts because I have a massive sweet tooth. So that's how big I like to slice into the apple barfis. And now obviously I cannot wait and I'm just going to dive right in. I like to have these as a snack, as a mid-morning snack at about 10 a.m. or so, or in the afternoon when I'm experiencing an afternoon slump at about 3 p.m. Or it even works as a great post-workout quick snack. If you enjoy this video, then please give it a big thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new video. I'll see you again next time. Until then, goodbye and happy cooking.